Okay, in this tutorial we're going to do a blink program. It's going to be a bit of a twist. This is something I do with my students a lot. I get them to do a program where I get them to make it blink 3 times, an LED on and off really quickly 3 times. So the setup is a bit like what we did before. I get a component, I go add component, so I'm going to add an Arduino board. Just like this. Should have come up, it hasn't. Took a while the first time when I did this, so there it is. So, and the other component I need to grab is I need to grab an LED. And I'm going to put it into here. There. An Arduino has a built-in resistor, so that won't blow. Otherwise we have to use a resistor on a breadboard. So I just want to concentrate on the coding, so I'll just do this for this time. If I start the simulation, you'll see it blinks. It blinks. Off, on, off, on. For 1 second. Let's have a look at the code editor and see what's going on. Alright, what the code editor is showing is that we have a little Blockly code, so this is 5/6 level. We're starting off with LED built in, which is the same as saying 13. Wait for 1 second, and then I want to then go low for 1 second. Now high means it's on, so it's digital, so high means on, and low means off. We're waiting for 1 second now. You'll notice here that I can also change to milliseconds. So what I'd like to do is to get it to blink really fast. Now 1 millisecond you won't notice it, so if we go to something like 50 on, 50 off, you'll notice what happens now. If I upload it this time, it'll blink fairly fast. So it's going off and on. You're not really even with a bit of delay in the computer simulation. It doesn't really even look like it's coming off. So we might have to make a bit of a delay. If I stop the simulation, I'll make it delay, I'll say 200 milliseconds on and 200 milliseconds off. Now if I upload and run, you can see it's blinking fairly fast now. Okay. Now if I stop that simulation again, here is the task. I want to have this blink 3 times fast, then I want it to stay off for 2 seconds. So blink, 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 then a 2 second delay, blink, 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 and a 2 second delay. So using just what I've given you, you could use Blockly code. How could you do that? What you could do, there's a couple of different ways. You might use a block here to do that. So I could have a delay here, so one way I could put all this in a block. There you go. Want it 3 times, so I've created that block. But I want it to stay off for 2 seconds, so let's go here. I've got to then wait, and I would wait for 2 seconds. Now I don't like mixing up milliseconds and seconds, so to be consistent I'd say 2000 milliseconds. If I do that now, it's going to blink 3 times, stay off for 2 seconds and blink 3 times. So now if I then upload and run now, so now it's working. So blinking 3 times fairly fast. 1, 2, 3, then off. 1, 2, 3, then off. Okay. So you'll see some interesting things now. If we want to then look over what's happening with the text, I'm going to actually stop the simulation. Test is rather interesting, but in the test I've actually created the loop in Arduino. The loop I want to create, a counting loop, is a for loop. Here we've got a for loop. Here I've got a counter. I've initialized it up here. It's an integer, so it's a number, it's a whole number. And I've initialized it to the counter equals 0 initially. As long as the counter's under 3, so it starts off 0, then 1, then 2, so that's 1, 0, 1 and 2, that's 3 times. And the counter increments, it increases 1 each time. So it comes in, it'll blink, comes in, and then it'll blink off, on and off, on and off. And it does that 3 times. Then we wait for 2000 milliseconds, and then it does that whole thing again. So that's how I can actually do that using a loop and just writing the code here. So that creates a for loop, and that's one of the loops we can actually do. We could also then create a function. I'm not sure how to create a function here, whether I can actually do that in Blockly code. I've never tried that here. Let's see if I can actually do that. It doesn't look like I can. It looks like the limitation of this is I can't create functions. I can't see how I can do that. I can do a lot of maths. I can actually create a variable, but it doesn't look like I can create a function here. So the limit to this program here is we could use this at 5, 6 level, but at years 7 and 8, where we need to start to create functions, we couldn't do that. So it would be good to get started. We would have to then go into using just a text editor to create functions here. So I think that'll be my next little video to show you how we can actually